Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. So as some of you may be aware of, I am a massive Stephen King fan, and I have been reading Stephen King ever since I saw the Dark Tower movie in 2017. And straight after that movie I went out and bought a new copy of The Gunslinger, which the movie was actually based on. Or I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be based on. Then after that, I was reading all the Dark Tower books, pretty much from back to back. I did have a break in between where I was reading the Ready Player One novel, because the movie was coming out and I was excited to read the book. But ever since 2017, I have constantly been reading Stephen King. More or less, every time I finish one, I go straight on to the next one. After I finish one, I move straight on to the next one. I have got a notebook which I keep all of my Stephen King notes in it, and it has a list of the Stephen King books that are in order, or in publication order, and I want to read them in that order, because I was thinking, right, what better way is there to actually go if you want to read all Stephen King's work? You might as well read them in the publication order that they came out. And some of you may also be aware of that the book that I am currently reading, especially if you follow me on Goodreads, is Gerald's Game. This is the 43rd novel that I picked up by Stephen King, as he's my favourite author. Probably the biggest clue is that I'm reading he's probably written about 90 books already. He's constantly writing new material every single year. He's got 2 books coming out this year, which is called Later, which is coming out at the beginning of March. I will be reading and reviewing that on my channel, so I'm excited to actually read that one, as well as Billy Summers, which is coming out in August. So Stephen King is my favourite author, if I can't make it clearer than that. He does write a lot about stuff that not a lot of authors will touch on, subjects that authors won't touch or actually go near, such as racism. He uses the N-word, which I won't repeat on here because it's the only word that I won't say. It does focus a lot on racism. There is a part in it where it focuses on a specific building or in the town of Derry called the Black Spot, which is a bar which loads of black people go to, and it's burnt to the ground as a form of racism. He does focus, and Stephen King focuses a lot on death in this book. I mean, not in this book, but in his books in general. Like The Stands, loads of people die, and because 99% of the people in that book die, chances are there's going to be a massive possibility that loads of children are going to die. That there's a baby in the beginning of the book which is been held by by its mother, and the baby and the mother is dead, with the mother still holding her dead infant, her dead baby. At the end of Cujo, I won't spoil it, but the child in that book doesn't come to the best of endings. So I know Stephen King does write a lot of subjects that can be upsetting to some people. But I kind of thought, okay, it's fictional, it's horrible, but it's part of the story, and I didn't really think much about it. But I knew going into Geralds Game what it was about. I watched the Netflix series or movie. I knew what the story was about. For those of you who don't know what Geralds Game is about, it's about a married couple that go off to a secluded cabin in the woods that they own, and I believe that they may have some marriage issues, and in order to spice things up, and to the husband Gerald handcuffs his wife Jess to the bed with both hands, and she has some second thoughts and stops him, tries to stop him from doing this and to actually let her go, and in doing so he has a heart attack and dies, with her still handcuffed to the bed. And so that's basically the storyline. The book consists of her trying to get out of this situation, which isn't a lot of the book isn't focused on that. Most of this book is focused around flashbacks, because this book only has one physical character in it. It does have flashbacks in it which focuses around Jess's family and friends, but Jess is the only technically the only character within this book. And location wise, apart from flashbacks, it only is set in a one building, a cabin, and even more specific than that, she's handcuffed to a bed, so she can't move that much. So it's about her trying to escape the situation that she's in, and before she dies of starvation, dehydration, or she's eaten by something, or something bad happens to her. And flashbacks as well. This is the first book that I've ever DNF'd by Stephen King, and I will tell you why. There is halfway through this book. It's only 400 pages long, so it's not long to read. But 200 pages in, halfway through, it has a very upsetting scene, and that scene is of Jess sitting on her father's lap when they are watching an eclipse, which is because if you read Dolores Claiborne and Geralds Game are connected with this eclipse event. They don't reference each other, but they are connected by this eclipse that happens in both books. And I knew this going in as well. But while Jess is sitting on her father's lap, Jess at this point is only a little girl. She's only about 10 or 12, but her dad basically molests her, and this book does have incest in it, and it's extremely upsetting and hard to read, especially when it comes to Jess describing how her father's bodily fluids smell. And how she's trying to come up with excuses about how that she can give her mum when her mum discovers that her daughter's panties are wet. She thinks about, okay, maybe if I say I jumped into the lake, that can be a way that she thinks that she can get out of it. But she knows that she has to get her other clothes wet, so she's trying to find ways. I don't know. It's extremely upsetting. It's extremely hard to read, and to be honest, at that point, I was gonna put this book down. At that point, Jess's dad isn't a violent man. He's not a drunk. He doesn't hit Jess or shout at her, or he's not an aggressive man. At this point, he just basically has sex with his daughter. But I was thinking, okay, let me finish off the chapter that I'm currently on, and maybe it will leave it alone and move on to the main story of Jess trying to get out of this situation, which is handcuffed to her bed. And it does move on from the incest scene or the sex scene, and you can probably tell that I'm extremely uncomfortable even talking about it, but I wanted to do this video anyway. But after that, I was thinking it's gonna leave it alone, but it keeps on being referenced all the time, and especially when Jess meets up with her dad in flashbacks, obviously, and they try to talk about it and discuss it and all that type of stuff. It's really uncomfortable as well that Jess even describes the event as being kind of pleasurable to her. But last night I got up to 250 pages of this book, so I only had 150 pages left to read. So I was thinking, okay, right, I'm gonna like finish this all in 3 days' time, and I will put it down and I will tick it off my list, and it will be one that I can say, right, number 43, didn't like it, move on to the next one. Um, but I couldn't do it. I DNF'd this book. This was the first ever Stephen King book that I ever DNF'd. With only 150 pages left to actually go. I did try to listen to some of it on audio, but it was extremely boring. It really was. It doesn't focus a lot on Jess trying to get out of the handcuffs and trying to survive. Yes, it does say about how a dog comes into the cabin and eats Gerald, and how she's trying to keep this dog away from her. And also the dog actually refers to Jess as a bitch master. That's how he... I mean, the dog isn't sentient, he doesn't speak, but if you read Cujo, you know what I mean. Jess is really not a great character. She's very submissive in this story, and I didn't really relate to her. And you may be thinking, well, David, you're a guy, and Jess is a female, you wouldn't relate to her. Yeah, you're different sexes. How can you relate to someone that's a female when you're a guy? But I'm reading Well of Ascension, and one of my favourite characters in that book is Vin, who is the main female character, and I can relate to her to a very high degree. So the fact that she's from a different sex than me is completely irrelevant to for me to actually connect with her, if that makes sense. I hope I'm trying to make this video as entertaining and as interesting as I can. But this book was boring. If this is your favourite book that you've read by Stephen King, then that's great. Big thumbs up. But I didn't like this book. I am going to DNF it, as I said. I DNF'd it last night. I am going to temporarily DNF this book. I am going to put it away, and I am going to come back to this one at a later date. It hasn't put me off of Stephen King. He is still my favourite author, and I am still going to read everything that the guy's ever written before, or ever written, and I'm still going to read all of his work. It's just upsetting that I couldn't finish this one. Even if I just made myself read it and finish it, I just couldn't do it. And in that regard, I feel bad. Yeah, I mean, you're probably saying, David, you shouldn't feel bad, because I know that Stephen King has probably written about 90 books, and I'm not going to like all of them. They're not all going to be masterpieces. There are, in fact, books I didn't like from Stephen King, such as, the top of my head, I didn't like Rage, The Long Walk, and I even thought that The Shining was okay, but I'm going to give that one a reread. And Cujo was kind of mixed for me as well. So this was the first ever book that I've DNF'd by Stephen King. I am going to be reading later, which is going to be coming later. But yeah, it was just upsetting, it really was. Let's just comment down below. I mean, just send me a comment down below and let me know what you think about this video as a whole. I haven't made any notes about it. I've only got this and my notebook by Stephen King. I mean, on my Stephen King books. So I haven't got any notes. I'm just making this up as I go along. I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I know Stephen King does reference situations and events that aren't talked about in literature, and that's fine. That's what I like about this. About Stephen King is that he talks about. I mean, there are people that are racist. There are people that are murderers, and people that hit their wives and abuse their children, and children die all the time. And I like it about how he writes about this stuff, and how he doesn't shy away from that, and just try to pretend that. Let's actually try to pretend that all this bad stuff hasn't actually happened in the world, and let's try to make sure that everything's all like sunshine and daisies, and make sure that everything's all happy, and all this bad stuff which we actually won't just talk about it. We'll just pretend that it's not happening in this world. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the sticker I've put up near my camera, but it's just hard because it's really hard. That's really it, guys. Hopefully I've tried to make. Hopefully this has actually made sense. I've filmed this numerous times, so hopefully I've expressed myself properly. And once again, if you've enjoyed Gerald's Game and if this is one of your favourite books that you've read by Stephen King, that is great. I'm not knocking that. Just for me, because I've read over 40 books by him, I know. I'm a fan, so I'm not knocking Stephen King, and I don't want anyone to maybe give Stephen King hate about this. When was this even published? It was published in 1992, so in the 90s. So yeah, I mean. Yeah, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. So yeah, that's really it, guys. That's my little mini rant on Geralds Game by Stephen King. Yeah, I've tried to make it as interesting as I can. I don't know how entertained you are going to be about it watching this video. Thank you so much if you're watching this video. And sorry if I'm not looking at the camera. I have put a sticker near my camera so I can focus on it. But as you can probably tell, I'm extremely uncomfortable talking about this book. But it's one of them things. It is one of them things. You are going to come. If you are reading an author, no matter who he actually is, if you are reading an entire author's catalogue, you are going to come across one that you didn't enjoy. I'm currently reading I want to read all Clive Barker's work, and I actually read Gabal, and I thought that one was okay. It wasn't my favourite, but I enjoyed the movie that it was based on, Nightbreed. But yeah, but that can be with any author. There are going to be books that you are going to love, books that you think, okay, that's actually really good, and books that you think, okay, that's actually complete trash. This isn't complete trash, despite the fact that he does mention incest, which is a very sensitive subject for me, especially when I'm watching reality TV shows and talk shows. That's a subject that I really don't like to hear and actually watch. It's really uncomfortable, and it does actually fill me up with hate. I don't hate this book. It will just make me feel a bit uncomfortable. But as I said, I am going to go back. I'm actually going to get back to it. Not sure when. Maybe next year. I'm not sure. But right now I am more than content about watching the Netflix series. It hasn't changed my opinions on that. It's still a great show. So if you haven't watched that movie, please go and give it a watch. It is amazing. But yeah, that's really it, guys. Sorry if it's been long. I didn't know. I didn't have a structure to this. I didn't have any notes, so I didn't have a structure for this video. But yeah, thank you so much if you've been watching this video for about 20 minutes or however long it's going to go on for. It really does mean the world to me. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Comment down below. Once again, let's actually talk about this book. If you haven't, if you read it, let's talk about it. I'm not against talking about this book. Let's have a conversation about it. If you've enjoyed this video as a whole, please subscribe if you're new. Watch all my other videos as well. I have an entire playlist dedicated to Stephen King novels and videos about it, and this one will go into that playlist. So if you have enjoyed the video as a whole, please subscribe if you're entertained by this video, and if you do subscribe, please click on the bell notification just so it reminds you that whenever I upload videos, which are always every Monday and Friday. Some days I upload one video and some days I may upload several, so it really depends on how I feel and how much content I want to put out. But I always will put out at least one video every Monday and Friday. That will never change. Also, if you are curious, I am going to be putting my link down below to my Goodreads account in case you want to follow me on Goodreads as well. I have been writing written reviews on Goodreads as well, all the books I've actually read. So in case you're curious about that, it'll take you right to my page. And yeah, with all that said, have a great day. Read some awesome books, even if it is Gerald's Game. And I will see you all in my next video.